Hi, everybody. If you need to jump off, like I said, this will be recorded. You can put your questions in the chat if you have them. I am going to give you guys a whole bunch of info. So thank you guys for being here. I know this was totally last minute for me to throw out this little info session. And I know it's in the middle of a workday, that kind of thing, but it will be recorded. So if you need to pop off, you can leave your questions in the chat box. This is our parent educator informational session. I'm just going to give you guys all the details, all of the rundown of the program, how long it lasts, what's included, all of that kind of stuff. And then if I don't answer your question in the course of that 15-20 minutes that I'm going to run down the program, then you can either unmute yourself and we can chat. Hi, Jason and Wyoming Quinn, if anybody wants to say hi. Nice to see you here. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. And if you don't want to actually chat, hopefully you guys can hear me. Hello? Okay, good. You can hear me because you said hello. I was going to say, if I was talking the whole time and you guys couldn't hear me, that would be bad. But you can put your questions in the chat box if you don't want to actually come online and chat with me. So I'm going to pull up my list just so I don't miss anything. So this parent, I'll just tell you a little bit about how I started this program. I kind of fell into this work after I had always worked in advocacy, and my degree is in early childhood and elementary education. So my background was in teaching, and I always had this child advocacy. I didn't really know what it was when I was in my 20s, but I always had this desire to change the way families, make happier families. I didn't come from a very happy family. And so through my own process of discovering myself and my background and why I acted the way I did, and, this personal self-development that I was doing on my own, I realized that a huge part of so many of the struggles that I had came because I didn't have good relationships at home with my family, with my parents. They didn't really know how to, I came from a divorced family. I was raised by my mom and my stepfather primarily, and they didn't have a very good relationship with my biological father. And there was a lot of stress and strife growing up. And then on top of that, I didn't have good individual relationships. It seemed that nobody really knew how to have good relationships, but for some reason, I felt it more keenly than others because, I have other family members who certainly have grown into adulthood and don't feel the same kind of passion that I do for it, and sometimes don't even understand what I do. And so that's how I came into parent education in general. And I really just one day, after I had my daughter, I decided I did not want to go back to film and television and like long 12, 16-hour days, which is where I'd come from. And I decided to stay home, and I reached back into my history and my passions and started online. I started a Facebook page. I think I started the website first, and it was really about changing the way we speak. I had people take a pledge that they would, speak kindly and with respect to their children. And it was just little points along the way that suddenly grew and grew into a movement and an audience and people that were like-minded and coming together, and then all of you guys. And there were so many people who felt this way out there that I found when I was able to jump online in probably sometime in like 2000 and I think 5 or 6, 7 is when I started online, and it grew and grew and grew. Here we are today, many years later, and I've created hundreds of hours of programming, and you guys are, I'm sure, familiar with my work, or you probably wouldn't be here with me today. But my YouTube channel, Facebook, all of that just grew, and it was always just about me wanting to share tools, information, education. I don't come from this place of, let's go out and tell parents how to do it and, give them rules and this is what you should do. For me, that doesn't feel authentic. For me, it has to be really about my personal passion, which was changing the way that we speak so that we could have healthy relationships and sensitive kids, highly sensitive kids. So that was something I also experienced as a highly sensitive child. and my parents weren't highly sensitive. At least my mother wasn't in many of the ways that I was. And that caused so much, strife and difficulty and misunderstanding for us and our family. And um, that now has become very much a part of what I do, helping parents understand their sensitive kids. 20% of the population is what's estimated are highly sensitive. And a lot of these kids, especially boys, they get labeled and they get judged for their behavior, behaviorally, like these expectations in school. And not even if they're highly sensitive, but boys in general, they just were not used to nurturing them as a society. It's always like, let's toughen everybody up so they can be tough for the real world, get through it. And I think that what happens is that we end up with a lot of kids that are really struggling, and they're struggling to understand their own emotions. They're struggling to understand why they're not good enough, why they can't meet these expectations. And just, it's a cycle. So for me, breaking that cycle of our the misunderstanding of behavior is another part. So it's the communication and helping us understand sensitive kids, highly sensitive kids, and behavior in general. So it can apply to all kids, but for me, my particular passion was really about helping adults understand behavior through the lens of development and also through this non-punitive lens. So there's no punishment. There's consequences, right? There's always consequences in life. We don't have to do adult imposed consequences to make children learn. If we, yes, they work short term sometimes, but I'm about sustainable discipline, long term behavioral change. And that only can result if we give kids support in 3 areas. And so my whole program is really based around this idea. It's a 3-pronged approach to behavior. And you're probably, again, familiar with it if you've been following me for any length of time. But support, stress, skills. It's the same 3 categories that my conscious communication cards are based on. And for me, it's just such a simple framework that we can view not just children's behavior, but the root cause of it, and then the first aid. How do we go and help those kids? So for me, that's the framework that everything kind of gets filtered through. Stress, support, skills. Stress being what's in the environment, what's on my child's mind, do they have a heavy mental load right now or a heavy emotional load because there's a lot going on at home? Are they dealing with toxic stress? Are they dealing with relationships, bullying? There's so many things that we think, oh no, you know what, they're managing because they're maybe not talking about it, but it comes out in their behavior. So when we can figure out what is stressing our kids, and maybe we can't reduce the stress, if we're moving or somebody's sick, there's a family member that's very ill, we can't take that kind of a stress away. But what we can do is then when we look at behavior, we can understand that there's a root cause here that may be affecting the child's ability to behave in the ways that we want, right? So what do we do then? We go in and help them practice skills with certain tools that we've pulled out. Instead of just saying, stop that, don't do that, we look underneath. That's what the framework does. So, and support, of course, is that relationship. How can I let this child know that I'm on their team, that I want them to succeed, and not just that I'm judging their behavior or trying to change it, but that I really want to help them understand it because I understand. So stress, support, and skills is the framework that everything works through. So let me just go through. If you just joined us, and I see some familiar names there. Hi, Anjani. So nice to see you. I'm going to go through all of the details, like I said, about the particulars of the program. And then if you guys have questions that I did not cover, we can talk about them at the end. Hi there, Sandra. Hello, nice to see you.
Hello, you too.
Thank you guys for coming. Katie, it's nice to see you. I don't know if you're joining us by audio. That's totally okay.
I'm here, but I'm driving.
Oh, you're driving. Oh, be safe. But hello, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's always so fun to connect with you guys after, being in classes together or just from being online together after so many years. So
Thank you, ladies, for being here. I am going to, this is our Q&A about my next Parent Educator certification, of course. And I'll outline the program, the details. A lot of it is in the frequently asked questions. So if you've been over to that page, you probably know most of the basic information. But then I'll take any questions that aren't covered, and then we can just chat. I would love to, actually, just to start now, I would love, if you ladies want to share, I would love to know what brought you to this path, what you're hoping to gain. Katie, you drive.
I can talk.
You can talk, but you don't have to look at us or anything.
No, I'm looking at the road, but I can talk. I'm trying to remember how I even stumbled upon you. I think it might have been something with the communication cards. We have been on like a 5.5-year journey of trying to help my son, who is 7.5, who sort of got slapped with the ADHD label, but I knew in my heart that that wasn't right. And through a series of very scary, critical, unfortunate events, we finally got a chronic PTSD diagnosis for him with oppositional defiance disorder, sort of tagged on to that. And so I have spent the better part of the last 18 to 24 months re-educating myself on, just first of all, understanding his brain and how to, better help him just through anxiety and all of that sort of thing. And I mean, your cards have been instrumental in just, literally everything you say not to do at the top is exactly the first thing that comes out of my mouth, So
mine too. That's why I was so good at reading those.
Really re-educating on, being a safe parent, being an advocate for your kid. And so I just feel like it's missing in so many places, and we're sort of stuck in public school, and they are so uneducated, and they just don't have the resources, and they're so far behind. And so if it's something that, I can go in and volunteer my time once I'm properly educated, that's sort of my mission.
That's amazing. And coming from this place of walking through the trenches, you have so much to offer people, because it's not just, come to this class because I can tell you things that will help you. It's this is the path I walk. This is what helped me understand. And I think, Sandra, you kind of have a similar story.
Yeah.
In terms of parenting and walking the walking through this. It can feel so lonely when we have a kid that's super sensitive, or that gets labels, or that just isn't, is probably so empathetic and beyond their peers in so many ways, emotionally and in their awareness, and yet they struggle with so many other difficulties. Do you want to share? I would love to hear what brought you, because I know that we connected about this
a long time ago. Years.
This will be my 4th session. So I did the first session. They graduated in 2016. The next group graduated in 2017. I took off the next, God, what year are we in? Yeah, we're in 2018. I didn't, I'm like so confused. I didn't do it in 2018 because I was doing the cards, and that really took up a whole, and then we started my next group will they're graduating now. They're finishing up. They're in the last 2 months of the series now. So this will be my 4th session, but I know that we connected before.
Yeah, my son has sensory processing disorder, and he was born 2.5 months premature, and has kind of struggled with self-regulation. I didn't really know what self-regulation was for years, but he was struggling with that in sports and just in school. And so I found you through, and I'm not a big social media person, but I found you somehow online, and you had one of those 30-minute free calls, and I got it. I was so excited.
We did a one-on-one.
Yeah. And through that call, then I ended up taking one of your communication courses, and completely shifted my thinking because I had to look at myself, and it wasn't about him, it was about me. And so I've been studying conscious parenting for years now. I took him out of public school at the end of third grade. I shifted my whole life. I work from home and I homeschool him. So for 3 years, I've been homeschooling him and working from home. But I'm a business coach. And so that I've been doing that for about almost 6 years. And I co-own a business with my husband. And I've been being pulled in this direction for a while. I've been studying mindfulness. And initially, I wanted to bring mindfulness into schools. There's a big program out there. It's a 1-year program. But when I started thinking about it, I felt like it's really the parents that need the help. And the school does too. But I really felt like I was being called to like help the parents because I've been helped. And if we could get more parents, like you have on your website, Changemaker, right? Changemaker, you want to be a change maker. And it just really called to me, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and I thought, I'm going to see if she's doing this again, because I guess I emailed you 2 years ago about it.
Yep. Yes.
And I thought, I think it's time. And I just want to help people. Like, I want to help them like you helped me. And it's just been an incredible connection with my son. We're in a totally different relationship now. People are blown away by how we communicate with each other. So anyway, I'm excited.
You guys are you're inspiring me and firing me up again, because what I've found that I'm so passionate about, and the reason that I created this course was because I love my particular personality and the way that I get joy from this work is really taking people through the process, deep dive. That's why it's a 6-month intensive. I want to walk you through transformation and these concepts and the understanding, but I don't want to just do it in like, here's a 3-day training and here's a curriculum and go. Because you can do that. And a lot of people, you've been training, you've done this with your own kids. A lot of us can go out there and do it. But for me, it's the connections that we're making. For me, it's like there's all these leaders. And I certainly can't, I don't work one-on-one with parents very much anymore unless they've been clients, because I just, there's not a lot of time for me to do that. And I love I loved doing my Peaceful Solutions course or those, because I took parents and you're mine for 8 weeks. We're going to do this. We're going to do it live. We're going to meet every week. Like, that's what I really loved. But for me, there were so many other things there's just one of me. Like, that wasn't reaching enough people. So I have 4 main programs. My Peaceful Solutions, which is the long 8-week journey, or 40-day, because I've broken it up into small pieces now. But that's my big course. That's like the transformational course for parents. And then there's the Supporting Sensitive Kids course, which focuses on who are these highly sensitive kids? Why are they so different from, especially if you have one highly sensitive child and you have another child who isn't. It can be really confusing if you're not aware of the sensitivity and how that manifests. So I have the Sensitive Kids course, and then Sandra, the course you mentioned, the Conscious Communication course. What I've done is I've taken all 3 of those courses and I've distilled it into this 8-lesson curriculum. So that's what the course that I've created takes all of and the trauma course that I have as well, which I created for LA County for their work with their foster youth services.
Oh, wow.
I took the solutions course and I just adapted it to be more trauma sensitive and trauma informed. It was for parents and caregivers and also anyone on their staff. They covered all of the kids who had ever been in the foster care system that were currently in public school. So anything from that too, as well as also in this. So the course is meant to be trauma sensitive, so that when you go into communities that are dealing with way more than just, the blue sippy cup or the red sippy cup, that we go in there with sensitivity and with tools to help parents manage that. And so teach through love, the whole idea It was always to build community, to create education, and to create awareness and spread, and to advocate through media and now what became social media. I didn't realize at the time. So I created this program because I need more of people like you ladies who are passionate about it. But this work is, that was one of the questions that came in from somebody. They had asked, is this open to, is it open to parents? Yes, this is not just a course for professionals. A lot of the women that have gone through have been parents that have made the changes in their homes, and then this, just like you guys mentioned earlier, come out and say, okay, I want to take this into the world. And so that's why I loved creating this curriculum as well, because for me, creating content that we can share and use to educate, that's also something I love to focus on, hence the cards as well. For me, it's important that this network, that if you do join the class, that you are interested in joining an amazing group of really passionate people. I say women, but we never know. Right now it's all women, but we're growing. So let me give you the rundown. Let me share my screen. I'm going to walk you guys just through what the program contains. So it's eight lessons. There are 8 different modules. Can you guys see the screen, right?
Uh-huh.
The slideshow. Okay, great. So for me, my work, like I said, I distilled this course after delivering hundreds and creating hundreds of hours of courses and delivering it to thousands of parents. And for me, the umbrella of conscious parenting is distilled into 3 things, and I call them the ABCs of conscious parenting. You're probably familiar with them if you've worked with me at all, even a little bit in the past. And they are attachment, brain science, and communication. So what I've done is I've taken my course, and this is how I've outlined the work that we do. And we spiral through the ABCs over and over. So in Module 1, we talk about attachment concepts. If you guys are familiar with my cards. I was going to have my cards out, and they're not here. Let me just grab them. I'm going to grab them. For people that may not be familiar with, the cards are broken into, they're color-coded. So that's why I've color-coded the modules up here, because the ABCs refer to attachment is the relationship. It's the support. How do we go in there and we support our kids through our relationship, right? Not through behavior management techniques, but through this relational view that we take. That's the transformation. And then the stress is orange. Support is purple. And then skill building is green. So the green, skill building, refers under the communication. The brain science is the orange. And then, of course, the attachment, the relationship piece, is the support, the purple, just to give you an idea of why those are color-coded like that. So in Module 1, we talk about the concepts that we need to understand. This is where we start to transform our view. And I give you all of the concepts that are related to Module 1. This is not the actual name of the modules. This is just the ideas behind them. So these are the attachment concepts, the support concepts. And then we move through Module 2, we talk about the brain. And so the first level is, we're just talking about the concepts, attachment concepts, the brain concepts that are important to know, and then communication concepts that are important to know. This is where we start the transformation from parenting as this role that we have or something that we do, to this is a relationship that we're learning how to create, right? And then we have to start to build our tolerance. We have to know, how do I then stay calm in these situations? Am I even aware of that? And then we move into that first skill that we need to have, which is empathy. And how do I start to speak without blame, shame, judgment, and guilt? And the goal, which is in our module 4, the goal is to raise our emotional intelligence. This is what we're leading up to. So this is how the first 4 lessons are set up. And then we're going to spiral back through the ABCs, but we're going to talk about the application. How do we actually apply the concepts of attachment? How do we actually apply the concepts behind the brain? And then how do we apply the concepts of the brain, meaning how do we actually regulate our brain? What do we do to actually put that in place? Sandra, you talked about mindfulness. Mindfulness is a big part of this series because it's so important. I had somebody on the Facebook page say the other day that it was in response to something that we as parents should do. And they wrote underneath, but parents can only do this if they're aware, if they're self-regulated. And I was like, yes, absolutely. This is so true. They can't. We can go around and give lectures and educate people and talk about topics, but if we don't actually make the transformation, we can't implement them. They kind of remain out there, like we can see them, but we can't actually grasp them and implement them. So this is how we spiral through the curriculum, through the application of, okay, I learned about attachment, I learned about the brain, I learned about how to communicate differently, but what do I do? How do I really do this now? Because a lot of this first level work is in the investigation. We're putting parents back in touch with things that they probably never even thought about, like their childhood. And we're transforming all of the beliefs and the patterns and the hardwired ideas about children and behavior and what they need. And the goal is to raise our emotional intelligence and then come back and apply, okay, how do I do this? How do I actually create a better relationship? Am I aware of the relationship that I have right now with my kid? You know, how do I build in more awareness? And then what do I need to build skills? How do children learn? What do they need to learn? Are they aware of when they're ready to learn? That's what Module 7 is about. It's about building, what do we need to really help development thrive? How do we provide optimal learning environments for kids? And then the last module, Module 8, is we approach this last one with the goal of transforming our language and behavior. Our language, not just our verbal language, but our nonverbal language that comes out in our behavior. How do we shift this? How do we really learn to communicate differently? So that is the curriculum. It's under the umbrella of the ABCs, and the modules are meant to give you the information, show us, reassess our goals again, and then spiral back through. Because this work is not something that we just pick up once. And you guys know, because you've done a lot of it, we have to keep going back and digging in and investigating. So the idea is to help us become really good investigators and to understand how we can decode behavior and then provide our kids with what they actually need instead of what we think we should be providing as parents or as teachers. I have a lot of teachers that have gone through the course, and I love that because they're taking the work into their schools and then they're helping other educators make those shifts. Or they're just being supportive of educators and their co-teachers so that those teachers don't feel the need to be necessarily so harsh, or maybe they can pull back on using punitive measures because, you know what, I have this other teacher who's there supporting me and she's giving me some great ideas and she really listens. So we're taking this work out, and we're yes, we can bring it to parents, but there's so many opportunities to bring it to others who work with children and help them level up their emotional intelligence and their abilities to look beyond the behavior, because that's the goal, is to really help people, move beyond the behavior, move beyond their own behavior, because we're walking around conditioned from thoughts and experiences that we never even realized were dictating our every action and our choices, and dictating the relationship that we have with our children. Okay, so that's the curriculum. That's how we spiral through. I'm super proud of this work. So the course is laid out that you can deliver the sessions in the order that it's presented. But each individual module is also complete enough that you can give a series on it or a short lesson on it. So they're topical, but they also work together. It comes with the curriculum and the activity workbook. The activity workbook just contains all of the exercises and handouts that are available It's organized by each module. And that is about a little over 100 pages. And then the actual curriculum, there's 8 modules, and each module has anywhere from 15 to 20 pages of reading material to help you understand how to implement the slides and how to deliver the course, or just what, all of the basic concepts. For me, I'm always upgrading my materials. I'm continually updating things just to make them better. For me, it's really important to, especially with the way science changes, and so going back every year and just making sure that everything that's important is included and that things are clear. Okay, so that's the ideas that's what goes on in the course. I told you about participation. Some people write in and ask, do I have to make every session? Let me actually close this out and see you guys later again. There are approximately 18 to 20 live sessions, and I ask that you commit to 75%. So it usually turns out to be about 4 that you can miss if you need to. If you think that this is something that you can't commit to 75% of the classes, definitely consider whether it's the best time for you. This is really important for us to have the group time and make the connections and to meet every week, because that's where we actually learn to help others. There's a lot of group work. There's a lot of small group work with just one-on-one buddy stuff. And then there's, larger group work with maybe 3 or 4 people, just depending on how many are in the actual session. But it's really important that we commit to sharing and wanting to be part of the online group. So yes, you can miss a couple, but I want everybody that joins to say, you know what, I'm joining because I want to connect with other members and I want to learn from them and I want to offer what I know. Because a lot of, especially in past groups and our group now, people come from such varied backgrounds. We have teachers, occupational therapists, psychologists. So everybody has different professional backgrounds that help support and inform and give us ideas. For me, that's one of the most beneficial parts. It's not even just the curriculum and all of the materials, but it's coming together and really getting to know each other and getting to share what we're passionate about, what we want to do with the work, but also what do we find challenging. A lot of the leadership portion is talking about, where do I feel comfortable serving parents? Where do I still feel like I'm unsure, or I feel worried, or especially when we go out and we're doing work that is so against the mainstream. Depending on your community, you may be welcomed with open arms, or you may get a lot of this, who are you to tell me, kind of, even if you're going in for free and, helping people in your schools or wherever, with your kids groups or local communities, wherever it may be, you may come up against resistance, and we have to be able to not push back against it, but to welcome it and to say, I want to hear about your experience. It sounds like that's a similar experience to mine, or here's what I've learned, or to be able to offer the chance to have conversation instead of dictating what we think should happen. There's a lot of this is the way you should parent kids, or at least that's what people feel. I don't know if that's actually out there, but that's what people feel. They feel so judged, and they feel like they're getting advice from every different direction. And I want to teach us how to sit and listen and really be a catalyst to transformation rather than just a source of information. Does that make sense to you guys? It really is about not just coming in and taking away the tools and concepts. It's really about, how do I learn to prompt this individual to initiate change in their own lives? Because we can't do it for anybody. And you guys know, I may be able to offer ideas and the path, but I can't come in and do the work. I don't know why one person's 7-year-old came home and slammed the door when they got home from school and went upstairs to the room without being in that house. I don't know why that person did that, but I can teach you how to find out, how to be that investigator, So that's what we do for people. We don't come in to educate or to say, you know, this is the way you should do it because this is what brain science says, and we get all logical and very on our soapbox. And I love a good soapbox, but I have learned that listening to people and giving them space to just share, even if we disagree, is so much more valuable than trying to convince anybody that you have the answers. And how to do that working with your own personality. We focus on that in the leadership module too. You know, who's my ideal client? Who do I see myself working with? Some people don't know. Sandra, you were saying you're a business coach. You probably are really familiar with how this piece works.
Yeah.
But a lot of people coming in just have the passion and they don't know. So I don't offer business advice. I don't want to confuse anybody, but I definitely walk us through, how do I figure out, what do I want to do? How can I best share my voice? What is my preferred method? Like I said to you guys, my preferred method of work and how I share what I have is this long form content. And we do the deep dive and we transform ourselves. So we walk through the curriculum as if we were taking it ourselves as parents, and we learn how to deliver it. We learn a lot more than you need to give to parents, but we need the full perspective so that when somebody comes, you know, when one person comes with their 7-year-old who slammed the door, it's completely different than the other person who came with an 8-year-old who slammed the door. But we're able to pick out, oh, okay, I see the connection piece because you mentioned your relationship here, and we know how to pull out the strands of disconnection and point people to recognize them in their own lives. And again, everything is done through the 3-prong lens of stress, support, and skills. Details are all on the frequently asked questions, but our classes were previously 90 minutes, but I bumped it up to 2 hours. So they're always between the start time's always between, 1 and 2.
And that's Eastern time, right?
I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you. That's
okay.
Eastern time. Yeah. So it's Eastern Daylight Savings Time for anybody that is around the world. And we have educators around the world. They're in Africa, Australia, England, Mexico, and then all over the U.S. in California, Washington, or Oregon, down south in Texas, New York. We're all over. My dream would be to have us all join together, like in actual live meeting in a location.
Oh, that would be fun.
Right? Yes, that is my dream. Maybe we should have it somewhere warm.
Yeah, like Hawaii.
Ooh, don't get me so excited.
Or San Diego, that's a good place.
Yeah,
too.
I mean any place that has, some. I love some good sun. But that would be my dream, to gather all of the women that have taken the course so far and bring us into one location and spend a weekend together or something. The prerequisite courses, there's 2 courses that everyone needs to take before, and they're included with the registration if you haven't taken them. If you have taken them before, then you get a discount on registration. But if you have not taken them, they are included with the course. So actually, all of my courses are included with the registration you have access to. But the 2 courses that I want everyone to actually complete are the Peaceful Solutions for Parents and Kids. That's the 8-week course, 40 days if you do it. And when I say 40 days, it's broken up into 10, 15-minute videos or activities on each day. So it's not like an hour lesson for 40 days. And then the Supporting Sensitive Kids course, which it's a 3-lesson course, but it's also broken up into very short videos. But that course would probably take 6 to 8 hours to complete the listening portion, and then whatever else that you like to take on your own to complete the activities or to review the material. People say, well, what if I don't get to complete them? The idea is that you don't come in with, a lot of people come in and they've taken classes with me before, so it's less of an issue. But for some people that have never taken any classes with me before, it's important to come in with basic knowledge of what we're going to discuss. I mean, 20 sessions, 18, 20 sessions, it feels like a lot. It goes so quick. It's just so fast. And I want to give you the most information and time to absorb it and to complete the other readings before we actually start diving into the coursework ourselves. That's what you get when we open enrollment. You have time to do those prerequisite courses. And if you've taken a course with me, it's on the website. If you've taken, did you guys see that? Either the Peaceful Solutions for Parents and Kids course or any two of the other courses that were listed. And you can find out all that information on the website. That you get another discount for a returning student. You also get access to my archive of Q&A calls. So it's over 200 recorded calls, all that's categorized by age and by topic. So if you're looking for or biting, you can look up every question that we've had with biting, and it's timestamped. So you can go right to the timestamp in the video. It'll say, 4-year-old biting at 6 minutes and 42 seconds. And so you can go right to that point in the audio. And that gives us a lot of just listening to different experiences that parents have, and how would I address that? What do I notice in what this parent, it trains our brain to listen to more than just, how do I get my child to stop XYZ? And it starts to help us look for something different, for where is this child struggling with connection? Where are they struggling with self-regulation? Or where do they need to build skills and they don't necessarily they're not aware, or they're not in that place where they can really learn. That access to those I find to be really invaluable for helping us to start to know, what do I say to parents? I know when I first started, I wanted to answer everything that parents asked me. I wanted to give them all the answers, but that wasn't really what they needed. They needed to figure out, why is this happening? What do I do about it? And why is this situation being created? And so me just giving them answers didn't accomplish any of that. So I had to train my brain. For me, it's very easy to hear, but I had to refocus. I had to shift and refocus on what I was listening for. Because in my panic and my, you're coming to me for help, I need to help you, I could see myself, I would shift away from really being able to help and listen to, let me just give you information. And so that archive of calls is helpful to help us shift out of that place where we feel like we need to give answers, and we can say, how can I really prompt you with just the right questions that you look deeper at something that I know will help you, again, find an answer, find a way to shift this behavior. Who has questions?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
One is, can you share a little bit about what the practicum is like? What does that look like?
Thank you. See, that was on my list. So there's the certification process has 3 different elements. The first one is the practicum. That is 8 hours, where after we complete the series, that part includes 8 hours of one-on-one coaching, working with parents, or you can be delivering, some people are already working within communities where they can go and they can deliver a class or give a talk on a topic. You want to accumulate 8 hours of doing that, either working one-on-one with parents. Now, these can be parents that you already have access to, or I've got tons of willing parents in our family forum group or past clients. So there's a lot of people that are willing to jump on and volunteer their challenges.
Okay.
If you need people to complete that portion with. If you don't have access to a place where you can go and deliver a class, if you've already got a community that you've worked with, a mom's group, a school, you can go in and certainly deliver that. The one thing about the practicum is that it's recorded. So if you were delivering a session to a group, you would want to take your phone or have some way to record the audio. And it's mostly so you can go back, listen, find out how you deliver classes to people, what parents were asking. Because sometimes when we're in it, especially if we're new at it, it goes by so fast. And you're like, what happened? What did I say? What did I do? And how can I improve? Like, what are my strengths? It's a great way to go back in and see, what do I really excel at? Maybe you're a really good listener, but you stress out when somebody asks a question and you don't really know how to deliver what they need wrapped up in a nice tight bow, which takes practice. Some of us are going to be more experienced at it depending on what background we come from, but that's why we record it. So that can be, you can either use, and I have all of the online meeting tools so that if you're meeting with a parent online, you can do it one-on-one in person or you can do it online. So I provide all the parameters. And then the second part of the certification process, we have the practicum that's recorded 8 hours. And then there's either a case study where you take a situation, a background family, and then there is a case study written assessment. Basically, you put it together. It's a template. It gives you the outline of what's required. And so you can do a written case study, or you can present to our group one topic, 20 to 30 minutes. And that would include putting together a presentation using the slides, using the workbook, and then presenting it for the class. So that you can do either or. Some people are shy, introverted, not ready to jump out there and present a class. So they have the option of doing the case study, which basically you take the family, do an assessment, you create a plan. What would you do with this family? How would you apply the concepts from our curriculum? But it's all laid out. So you basically just walk through it and answer the questions. And then the last part of the certification requirement is just an online assessment. And you complete it online. It's through our online classroom. And then so certification is not something that once you finish the course, it's automatically granted. It's something that you complete all of the 3 different parts. And then we get together and we meet and we talk about where you're ready to go. Are you ready to go out and deliver classes? We go through the material, but in that meeting, after all of those requirements are completed, that's when certification is granted after we do that. And then the licensing is granted for 2 years from the completion of our course. So that's included once you register. Licensing grants you permission to go out and use the slides, and you can present the material, use the name. And then once that's up, if you decide that you want to, some people use the work and they incorporate it into an existing business. I have psychologists, I have occupational therapists that aren't necessarily out there presenting classes, but they took the training because they wanted to use the information to support their parents. Do I want to renew the license? Comes up with, what are you doing with the course materials? Are you out there presenting them? Then yes, you want to have an updated license to make sure that you have current materials, to make sure, especially with slides and things, photos and graphics that you're getting a license to use, you want to make sure that everything in there is updated when you're using it.
Are we able to do our own online courses that are similar to yours, or?
So you can deliver online classes that are live that you're presenting. You just can't repackage the program and sell it.
Oh, okay.
Or a class. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So it's more of it's just like we would do with you, right? You're working with people through the process of the program. Like if I wanted to do an online class with some people in my community or in Idaho, it would be the same as what you would do, is bring them together online and work through.
Exactly. Right. So the license grants you to present the materials, to use them in your training.
Okay.
What you can't do is take the program, give the class, and then repackage the materials.
Right. Yes.
To do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to be in integrity here. I want to make sure I'm
I'm
a rule follower.
And thank you for being so concerned about that. I just don't want people to be using outdated materials. I certainly don't want them to just recreate the program that I've done and then sell it, because that would be silly. But absolutely, you can call it.
And we can say, we're a parent educator once we are certified.
Once you're certified, yes, you were certified through Teach Through Love. Yeah. That does not expire. I'm not going to come after, it's like once you get your college degree that you don't have to, keep going back and getting it. You may, if the licensing may require updated classes. So once you pay for a renewed licensing, I may say, okay, there's this new class, you guys need to check it out for current licensing, or here's an updated lesson plan.
I'm proud to be affiliated. I want to be affiliated. I just want to make sure that what I'm doing is in alignment with what you're trying to do here. I don't want to just go off on my own and do my own thing. That's why I want to do this program.
I've created it to be helpful in that way so that you don't have to go out and recreate, reinvent the wheel. Like, here it is. I've delivered this course to thousands of parents, and I've worked with people or the reason that I created the Parent Educator curriculum is because it benefited people so much. And we don't need, these are the steps. I'm giving you the path to walk down. But again, some people find that, I'm working one-on-one with clients. I'm not out there presenting classes and courses. Everybody's creative. Everybody has, I think, a different way that they want to express the work. And I'm thrilled to have so many different voices. The network and the training that we get through the course is really the most beneficial part. And the excitement for me, creating those connections. I can't believe that we're already.
I'm excited. I know.
5:08. I talked a lot. Thank you for joining me live. I so appreciate you being here and I love getting to chat.
No, this is awesome. I'm very excited.
So the enrollment is open. I already have your application, actually, Sandra. But if you want to fill out a new one, enrollment will be open. Like I said, as soon as you register, you get access to everything. So.
Okay. I did. One question: is it correct that if we pay in full, we get $200 off? I thought I saw that.
So the payment plan includes admin fees. So it's actually $200. If you pay with a payment plan, it's $200.
Okay.
Over the course, or actually, I'm sorry, it's not even $200. I think it's $75 for the 3-month plan and $150 more for the 6-month plan. So you actually save that money by paying in full, but you don't save an additional $200.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Is there anything that I have not covered for you, or that you're curious about, or you just want to say hello, hi about? I invite you to do that. Now you guys can unmute yourself if you want to chat, or you can pop it in the chat box. I put the app, so some of you guys have already filled out the application because, like I said, we've been following me for a while and we've talked about this before. So if I have your application and you know that you're ready to sign up, you can go ahead. The registration is open. We've launched, so you can sign up right on the website. If not, if you haven't, I'll attach the application to this recording when I send it out. If you want to connect one-on-one, I definitely would love to talk to you. And if you have questions, that's the program. It's 6 months where we're going to connect weekly and talk about how we can, transform the world, how we can get out there and help parents, support parents and teachers. There's so many good teachers out there that are feeling overwhelmed in the classroom because they either don't have a lot of support or they're just living in outdated ideas about what kids need. And it's not for anything other than nobody said, here's a new way, here's something different that really helps create long-term sustainable change for our kids. So they just need a nudge, and for some teachers, it's like or parents even, it's like a light bulb. As soon as we give them the perspective shift. So there's definitely lots to consider when you think about, am I ready? Do I want to sign up for this program? Is this right for me? Think about your life for the next 6 months and what that's going to look like and where you can, fit this in if it feels like something you want to follow. Somebody asked me, and I didn't put this on the frequently asked questions, but somebody had a question about, what makes this program unique, or why should I sign up for this program, which is totally valid. There are a lot of programs out there to choose from. For me, there aren't any other programs out there that are going to give you the perspective of I do this work because I know what it felt like to be a kid that was really misunderstood and a kid that didn't know how to connect with their parents. And a few of my educators that I've worked with, they come from that perspective too. So I think that's why they gravitated towards me in the first place. I don't come to this work as an academic, as a doctor with all of these academic credentials. It's not that the work isn't academic. It's not that the work is any less valid. but I come to it with a very personal approach, because I want to connect and I want to help adults understand their kids, because I know what it feels like to be that misunderstood kid, and I know how emotionally draining that can be on parents, but also on kids, and what it means for the future and their ability to step out with confidence, and what it means for them to be able to make decisions, and what it means for them to be able to be independent and not codependent, and not go out there seeking other relationships or other people or a job or money or all these things to fill them up. And so my work takes us through that personal piece that I talked about. I had one woman that took my Peaceful Solutions course, and she's like this, and she's a parent educator, but she took that course because she was trying to figure out what was missing. And she told me what was missing was the personal investigation. And this was a woman who I remember when we did one of our first exercises, we had to come and get in touch with our feelings. And she was like, I feel nothing. And that was the breakthrough moment for her, when she suddenly realized that she'd been going through life not feeling her feelings and numbing her feelings. And she had never even considered looking at her past history or her childhood or how she was raised or treated by adults when she was growing up. So that's a piece that's also different from a lot of the programs that are already out there. But again, for me, it's this, I'm going to help you understand what it feels like to be that kid and that parent. If you don't already know, many of us already know what it feels like to be that parent who doesn't understand the kid. But I really give that perspective, which for me is so needed, because we come in with all these great parenting ideas and we're like, yes, I feel empowered as a parent, I'm confident. But it's all about us sometimes. It's all about, well, what have I learned? This is the tool I've learned, and I'm aware of myself, but nobody looks deeply at what that child is experiencing. Because we think, I'm getting love and I'm getting support, I'm getting limits, and nobody realizes that that kid's not getting any of it because the disconnection's already been built up. We miss that. Parents miss that. They're so well intentioned. I myself, I'm so well intentioned with my own kid, and I still miss stuff sometimes, So that's it, guys. That's the program. That's mostly what I can think of to tell you about it. I'm so excited to start it again. I would love to have you again. Like I said, if you have questions, it doesn't look like anybody has questions. Let's call for questions. Pop them in the chat or just unmute yourself. But if you have questions that come up after today, after we hang up, send them in, email me. Or if you'd like to connect personally on a call, if you have questions about, joining that are personal that you maybe don't want to share here, if they're private, go ahead and just email me or let me know. We'll set something up. You're welcome, Jason. I'm glad it was helpful to you. Thank you so much for, again, taking the time out of the middle of the day, you guys. I know we're all busy. So thank you so much. Like I said, I'm going to connect with some of our past educators, try to jump on Facebook Live, answer questions over there, just say hi. They can tell you a little bit about their experience in the program. All posted on the website. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the frequently asked questions list gets up, so that if you missed anything here or if you don't feel like running back through, we'll get to it. All right, you guys? Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all soon. I hope to connect, and I would love to have you in the program. All right, guys. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.